Hello and welcome to another edition of Lab Rats. My name is Andy Walker.
I'm Sean Carruthers.
And this is Lab Rats, your technology show that demystifies stuff on your computer, digital cameras, wireless networks, and all that stuff that actually makes the technology revolution work. Right, Sean?
Stuff. We talk about stuff.
Stuff, and we make it simple.
Speaking of stuff, what happened to all the stuff in your apartment?
I know, it's, did I move? No! We've actually been acquired by a company called 2Cows, which is the world's second largest domain reseller. But they also run 2cows.com, which is a file download site. And so Sean and I decided we were going to move in with 2Cows, and we're producing a new site called butterscotch.com, not only with Lab Rats, but all kinds of new shows. So check it out at butterscotch.com.
The only thing I don't like about moving in with them is they keep eating the stuff I leave in the fridge. I put pizza in there the other day, and now it's gone.
Oh, booper.
I mean, this is what happens when you have several hundred people.
Your pizza now.
Okay, good.
All right, okay, good. So today on the show, speaking of demystifying technology, we're getting into digital camera demystification today, right?
Yes.
What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about RAW, something that's a little bit, a bit more esoteric than the typical stuff we talk about, but we've been asked a few times, what does RAW mean? Why do I need it?
So well, it sounds really geeky, but we'll explain what it is, and we'll allow you and your grandma to figure it out and use it, okay? So let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get into what is RAW in digital cameras, today on Lab Rats. Raw, raw, raw.
You're doing the RAW dance.
Raw.
You got to dance for everything, it seems, even in the new studio.
Well, I have to bring the dancerific Andy to every new opportunity that I can possibly find.
There we go.
Don't you love to watch me dance? Don't you?
We should actually have a Dancing with the Andy podcast.
Yeah. Raw, raw.
All right.
Okay, let's move on. People out there are begging for content, so let's give them some content, okay?
Yes, and that wasn't it. All right, so we're talking about RAW today.
RAW.
Now, do you know what RAW stands for?
Really awesome waff. I don't know.
Wrong.
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 Wrong, wrong.
Wrong. RAW stands for raw. That's it. Raw image, raw data.
Like as in raw carrots?
Raw, like raw carrots, and we'll get to that analogy in a little bit. But when we're talking digital photography, generally when you have a camera that's a point-and-shoot camera and you take a picture like this, it saves it as a JPEG.
Yes, which is a file format.
Right.
Compressed file format.
It's a compressed file format that keeps this image size small, but it loses data, basically. We talked in a previous episode about lossy versus lossless in audio. It's the same in pictures. JPEG gets rid of data that the eye doesn't necessarily see.
Right.
So one of the problems with that when you're saving as JPEGs is if you're a professional photographer and you're used to film, it doesn't save all of the information that you might want. So you can't blow up into a tiny little section of the image as well as you used to be able to. And by being able to save all of the information, you can actually still have that same level of granularity that you used to have before, the ability to go in tight. Okay,
so but why would somebody out there, they're going to buy a camera for their grandma for Christmas or for their mom or whatever, why would they get a camera with like raw format inside? Or why would they bother?
Well, for grandmas,
cares, right?
yeah, for who cares? Your grandma's not going to care. Your grandma's just not going to care. This is not for grandma. This is not for the majority of people that are out there. Okay. What RAW is for anybody who wants to be able to save their images in the highest quality possible for archival purposes, for whatever.
So this is a bit of a geek topic. So if you're already going, ooh, getting too geeky, stick with us, okay? Because this is a technology you might hear other people talk about. If somebody in your family loves photography, they'll talk about raw images. So.
Exactly.
Good.
So they said the people that are going to be interested are people that really want the high quality. These are the people. It could be you. You might not know it yet, but there you go.
Okay, got it.
So,
all right. So let's talk about where can you find RAW? Where's the RAW technology?
RAW is typically, because it is for people that want higher quality, it's typically found on SLRs or single lens reflex cameras, which is one of these, the ones that you can actually use for change your lenses out and whatnot. And I've actually got a pretty high-end lens because I've been out in the
SLR,
field.
a single lens reflex, it's a higher-end camera, right? It's a camera, typically you're not going to get them for under, what, $700 or $800 or something along those lines?
They're down around $5 now for the bodies and some of the lower-end ones.
Professional, amateur kind of camera bodies. So you won't find this technology in point and shoots.
You will a little bit. So this is my Canon Rebel, this is my SLR, but you also can find it in some point and shoots that are aimed at professionals. So this one right here is the Panasonic Lumix DMC LX3, and this gives you the opportunity to shoot in JPEG mode.
Yeah.
But if you flip around to the back, and let's see if I can get into this really quickly.
It actually has a RAW setting, does it?
It does have a RAW setting.
exactly.
So when you go into quality mode down here, you can see that it is in RAW right now. It's got RAW and it's got various lower quality modes up here, which are JPEG.
Right.
All right?
You got it.
So same thing is on these higher end digital cameras, the SLRs. So they have the ability to save in JPEG, they have the ability to save in RAW, which like I said, it's a raw stream of data. Basically, whatever the sensor inside here, the imaging sensor
Captures.
sees, it actually saves it note for note. Basically,
Right.
a dot is here, a dot is here, a dot is here. It doesn't get rid of any of the information. It saves every
It
single
doesn't
thing that
process
sensor
the image,
sees.
it doesn't compress it, it doesn't do anything. It is what you get.
It is what you see.
Okay, good. And so that, as a consequence, of course, then, so the file format is going to be really large, right? You know,
It
when you
is.
have a JPEG or you have a TIFF or any of those file formats, well, TIFF, not necessarily, but JPEG and GIF, if you're familiar with those formats, what they do is they go in and they look at the image and they pull stuff out and they put a little marker in there and it makes the image really small. But of course, as a consequence, you don't get all the detail. So RAW is something, it's just au naturel.
Right.
And kind of like carrots, right? So you get the full-on carrot, or you can cook it. When you cook it, it's mushy, something's taken out, right? It's been processed, so it's unprocessed image.
Exactly.
I got it.
So there's a couple of pros and cons to this now. As you said, when you cook this image, it goes mushy. It loses a lot of the detail in the image.
Right.
So that's one of the cons of shooting JPEG. One of the pros of RAW is you get to retain all of that image detail in there. So one of the cons of shooting in RAW, because it's so much information, it takes forever to save that to the memory card as well.
Okay.
And
So you're not going to be pointing click, 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 click with RAW unless you have a really high-end camera, I suppose.
right, you need something that has a real speedy ability to process the image and to save it to the card.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk about pros and cons.
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably a really good place to go now because most people are going to go, okay, well, if it's, you know, I've heard a couple of pros here, like Pro,
Yeah.
for example, you know, you get really great images, right? What else?
You get really great images, and I said it gives you the ability to archive that image a lot longer. It's just you're not sitting there after the fact saying, God, I wish I had a better quality version of this. Because when you save into a JPEG, if you've got blacks, like we've got black in behind us here, it'll mush out and you'll get a bunch of noise and speckling in there. The ability to save in RAW will save all of that information.
And of course,
as
you'll
is.
see that if you decide to blow up an image, for example, you know, and frame it or something. Then, as you blow up those pixels, if it's been compressed, you're actually going to see like a mushiness around the pixels, and it won't be pristine.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. So there's no compression. I guess they're easy to edit, or they're fun to edit, or they're better to edit.
They're better to edit, but there's another con for you, is your average photo editing software won't understand what a RAW file is,
that right?
typically.
So Photoshop Elements.
Photoshop Elements may or may not.
Yeah.
Now, when it saves information on here, and I can show you here on this screen, I've actually saved 2 images here of my cat, basically. She was sleeping on the radiator earlier today, so I took one in JPEG.
Yeah.
So you can see it is 2.8 megabytes. The RAW file here is 9.2 megabytes.
Wow.
Same image, same framing, same everything. Now, I've installed a plugin here. You'll notice on the screen here, the JPEG is saved as a .jpg for
Right.
JPEG.
Yeah.
The RAW image, since it's Canon, it's .cr2 for Canon RAW. Now, an average photo program or operating system won't know what to do with that because it's a proprietary format to this camera, and every camera has a slightly different
That's
sensor.
convenient.
Yeah.
Thank you, Canon, and all the rest of you guys. Oh my
Well,
God.
it's everybody. It's Canon, it's Nikon, it's Panasonic, everybody that does
It's
one.
annoying. It drives me crazy when they are like that.
Right, so the trick is then you have to basically get the plugin for that camera. Now, the good news is if you're a professional and you're looking at things like this, things like Photoshop and Photoshop Elements often come with built-in RAW codec, so it'll understand it right off the bat. So this Digital Rebel, if you get the newest version of Photoshop, it should understand these files right out of the box. So as soon as you install it, you'll be able to use them.
Okay, good. So cons. So files are huge.
Yeah.
Not all software will recognize and be able to process a raw file.
Exactly.
Some of the raw files, for example, are named funny, so you really have to know what you're doing. Any other cons before we go to break?
Just in terms of speed, when you're saving in the field, when you're saving JPEG, because the file sizes are a lot smaller, you can often just go click, 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 and just keep going to the level of the buffer. But since these files are now so much huger, often saving those files, you can only get so many of those in before it runs out of space in the memory inside the camera and has to say, hold on now, Tex.
Right.
You got to wait until we take the next shot. So if you're really looking forward to shooting a lot of action sequences like that, you'll get high quality, but you might not get as many shots.
Got it. Okay, very good. So as you can see, it's a technology really aimed at the high-end consumer or the low-end professional. Or I mean, I guess professionals really do use this technology. So that's RAW, and let's go to break. And when we come back, we've got Miss Download and, of course, Picture Time. That's after this. So I like RAW. I'm very happy about RAW. RAW, 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 RAW.
I filled up my entire memory card over the break shooting RAW images. That's a big downside. Got to get bigger media.
How many pictures is that?
Well, 9 megabytes a crack. Yeah,
Lot.
It depends on the size of your card, you know, how much you can get on there. So.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm very excited about this segment of the show, of course, because Miss Download is, of course, back with her download of the day or moment, or depends on when you see this, right? So let's go and see what she has to show us. And then when we come back, it's picture time. Yay. That's after this.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Poirier, and welcome to Miss Download. So I recently went on a trip to Vancouver, which I love out there, and props to my friend Morgan, who put me up while I was out there. Thank you very much. And the first thing that I like to do when I go someplace is get a map, for two reasons. Number one, I'm a bit of a map geek. I really love them. And number two, I always like to know where I'm going. So I thought there's got to be some kind of a download out there, and I found one. It's called Schmap 2.0. Schmap, it's good. So the guides menu, it has numerous, you can select from hundreds of different European guides, US guides, Canadian guides, Australian guides, and New Zealand guides. I, of course, chose Vancouver because, well, that's where I was going. And once you choose the guide, the first thing that comes up is this kind of an overview. Your home page and your intro. Your intro contains things like historical backgrounds, different places to go, pics, tours. What I really like about the tours is that you can tour different ways. So you can discover the city by foot, which it will let you do, or you can take your time if you want to go by bike or by carriage or by trolley or by boat or to special interest. If you are a very big nature person, I highly recommend their West Coast nature and sightseeing. Now the thing about this, you're like, well, why would I use a Schmap player? This is like your personal Forbes. This is it's got everything in here, and it's your digital map, right? And it's awesome. You can download everything. One of the places that I like to go, you can go to directory, and it will show you. See, it lists 63 different sites and attractions that you can go to in the city of Vancouver. That's a lot. Restaurants and cafes, it breaks it down by, do you want to eat Mexican, Middle Eastern, Thai, breakfast or brunch, contemporary, crepes. I highly recommend the crepes. Vegetarian, are you a vegetarian? Are you going to Vancouver? Here's where you can find all 18 vegetarian restaurants. My favorite place to go, however, sites and attractions, a place that I love to go every time I go to Vancouver is a place called Granville Island. Yay! I love Granville Island. Now, if you look closely, which of course you will, every single time you over here on the right-hand side, there's a web link to each and every site and attraction, each and every restaurant, each and everything that they have listed in the Schmap player. You will find a web link to it. So Granville Island is a place that I like to go. It's got a lot of different things. It's got a market that has awesome fruits and vegetables. It has a pie place where there are like hundreds of different pies, fruit pies, meat pies, any kind of vegetarian pies. There's also a glass studio and a place called Kites and Puppets where I got my favorite souvenir. This is Sunny, this is my new puppet. Hello, hi. So what do you think of Schmap player? I love it. How much does it cost? It's free. So we love it, especially more. Yay! So I don't know if she's gonna show up again. I don't know that they'll let me have her again, but this is Schmap. And thumbs up for Snap. Yay! I'm Cheryl, and this is Sunny, and I'm Miss Download. You can find me at butterscotch.com. Take care.
Now on the show, my favorite segment, I have to say, more fun than the main part of the show, opening and also Miss Download or anything else that we happen in that segment. I even like it better than the commercials.
Do you like it better than your dance?
No, I like my dance better.
There we go. So we will skip what we're going to do next, which is picture time, and just have Andy dancing for a while.
Okay, we'll stop.
We'll do some pictures.
Okay, what do we got today, Mr. Carruthers?
We have Craig, who is writing
to
us
his hair?
from England. I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Okay.
I'm really not sure. It could be that way.
Leave his haircut alone.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you're one to talk about hair. So
Dance.
you'll remember a while back we also talked about identity theft prevention.
Yes.
And our viewer Susan actually had an idea as well that she uses. All of her documents that she wants to get rid of, she puts first through a crosscut shredder. You know, 1-inch little segments, and then she puts it in the bunny box, and the bunny uses it to do its business. And she
Bunny
said,
doo-doo.
yeah, she said anybody that gets that information afterwards probably doesn't want to put it back together again, even
You can
if they
smell
could.
bunny poo? I'm sure it's not very nice.
Why must our shows always degenerate into a talk like this?
Sorry. Okay, well, thank you. What's her name, Susan?
Susan.
Thank you,
Yes.
Susan, for your bunny poo pictures. It's very nice. You do not win a copy of my book, which is called, of course, Windows Lockdown, your XP and Vista Guide Against Hacks, Attacks, and Other Internet Mayhem. Great stocking stuffer.
Yeah. Please do continue to send the photographs either way. Even though that contest is over, please send your pictures. Don't send them in RAW format because our inboxes couldn't take it.
Right. And if you are going to send a picture to us, send it to...
Oh my God, that picture was so huge, maybe you should resend it as a JPEG at labrats.tv.
Or...
Feedback at labrats.tv.
It's easier to spell. All right. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in today, for pushing play on whichever way you watch us. My name is Andy Walker,
I'm John Carruthers.
and don't forget to see more about us on butterscotch.com.
Good. I'm going to go explore the new studio.
Yay!
There's something over here.
Okay. Bye.
Are you ready? Try this at home.
So I want you to know that we just finished the show, and Andrew Moore Crispin, our web editor at butterscotch.com, said, I want you to know that actually bunnies eat their own poo. So I was going to include that in the show. That's more blooper material. So there you go. Now you know.
That's disgusting.